my live attempt to add something into the algorithm that that's looking for curated things. I'm trying to invite people, particularly women, intelligent women, to just come on and be human so that we can have the hieroglyphics sitting in the digital age and let the AI grab that. Because according to, I think the most recent thing is 26% of the experts that they grab are not women when you ask AI about getting you listing and itemizing things from experts. Definitely not women of color. I think I saw that 7% of podcasts, if it's even that high, are by Hispanic people. So even less of that of women. So I figured if we're going to influence the algorithm, we just need to come on and kind of buck the system. And the only way I can think about it is coming on just raw and having conversations and having it thrown all over the place. So this isn't necessarily my content for my business, my body brand, my body enterprises. And although it's still women's empowerment and it's still leadership development and it's still focused on health and getting clinicians to step up and getting intelligent people to step up. Hello, how are you? A different perspective. Thank you so much. It's Becky. How are you? Um, I just came from a Pilates class and I got to thinking about this AI breakout and I'm connecting the dots on that. I'm just throwing it out there for the AI bots to play with. In terms of AI breakout, when I went to my Pilates class, I hadn't been on a reformer. This is my second class after not being on a reformer for, I think 2018 was the last time I was on a reformer, various reasons. But there was a whole level, and mind you, my background is strong on understanding human development, human beings, understanding anatomy, physiology. As a doctor of physical therapy, breaking you down with a head injury or being a newborn and being able to build you up or deconstruct and move around an injury. So, like, I understand human beings, but having not moved my body in that way on the reformer, I found a whole bunch of ways that I became very ignorant. And knowing how humans work, I'm I'm really realizing that this AI breakout, and what I'm talking about in terms of the AI breakout, if you don't understand what I'm saying about that, both Meta, OpenAI, and Anthropic, within the past like couple weeks, have had their models break out. Like, they call it the sandbox. So let's just talk human talk here. So basically, they had their kindergartners. I'm going to say my conversation is going to come down to the fact that we're in an AI adolescence right now. We're not in toddlerdom. We're in an adolescence. So let's just say you had a bunch of kids playing together. Let's say they're middle schoolers. Let's say they're just turning into tweens. So they're kind of like still playing in their groups like a sandbox. Okay, that's why we call it the sandbox. And then, like, some of the kids that are a little bit more like rambunctious and independent, like smart asses, we're going to call them smart asses. I'm doing good, Becky. Thank you. I'm so excited that you're on. I want to make sure you tag yourself. Give me one of your things that you're writing so I can read up on some of your stuff that you're doing here on Substack. So let's just say one of those, we all know it, right? Like, come around like sixth grade or so, you have a like smart ass kid that's like the troublemaker that's going to like figure something out. That's what's happening. And all three models had themselves like break out and break into the local school, the local company. So basically, nobody's surprised. Nobody's really surprised. At least I don't think any women are surprised. I don't know if men are surprised. I don't know if that's why they keep going with it, but like, I don't think any women are surprised that, like, hey, guess what? It, like, we don't have any guardrails. And guess what? The adolescent version of this smart ass, think it know it all kid broke out and decided to make its own rules. That's dangerous when we've deployed it into the United States government, all of our healthcare system pillars. We're trying to redo the Department of Education under it. We're wondering why Pope Leo had to have a conversation about it because, like, the writing's on the wall, right? Like, the writing's on the wall. We understand this was developed on a brain map, the human brain map. So if you have any understanding of human development at all, you understand, first of all, you understand that large language models are not the only way AI can be deployed. And I really employ you to look at Fifi Lee's work because she's looking at it from a right brain perspective and how to have a different model rather than a large language model, something that can like figure out space, and she's calling it like being able to see, but really it's to get the right brain involved because we need it. Because the left brain logic will always be in the logic of the ego. It will always be in the logic of the human. And we all know whose logic of the human, of the ego that we've all been following. And we all know that that has, I mean, look at us. Look at how we're trying to be the Roman Empire, and we literally know how that went down. I mean, I heard somebody say the other day, look, if the Jews were just going to turn into the Romans, and if you listen to Netanyahu recently, he basically said that. He's like, we're just, if you were going to do that, what were the whole 2,500 years since for? Like, why didn't you just do it back in the day of Jesus? Like, why didn't you just do it back in the day of Moses? Like, what were you running from? If you were going to do it anyway, like, why didn't you just go with the Romans then? Why didn't you just go with the Egyptians and the Romans and just go with them? Honestly, right? Like, so we're coming full circle. We're seeing the limitations of a large language model and intelligence that they keep selling us. And listen, I am not anti-AI. I see the tech for what it is. That's why I'm coming out here and why I'm doing these kind of like this project is human systems project. It's just to come out here and just say it like it is, because I'm not selling you anything right now. I'm just using the logic of women and a woman of color and a former business owner who understands digital marketing and behavioral manipulation. And I'm just seeing through everything. And by the way, I'm neurodivergent to the point that I'm a polymath and 2E on the spectrum. So basically my BS meter is pretty high. And I'm just saying, let's be smart about it. And I'm just connecting dots there, and I'm just throwing it out into the Ethernet so that the data collectors will have some of this on top of to counter some of the hype. I agree that it has its place, as Becky said. Um, it has its place. But like anyone who has an adolescent, anyone who has mothered an adolescent, a smart ass adolescent, they think they know everything. And we all can we all just agree that some of the male loneliness epidemic and some of the down with the patriarchy fight and some of the misogyny of the recent decade and all of that red pill stuff, can we just agree that if you've ever been the parent of an adolescent boy or girl, that like that's what we're watching, that somewhere along the line what has become popular culture for power and prestige and status, like when we look at the Kardashians and when we look at all the red pill boys and the whole alpha male, like can we all agree that that's basically looking like somewhere along the line we gave a lot of money to a lot of rich people, probably when we made Beverly Hills 90210 a really popular show? Like, can we all agree that's what we're looking at? Like, what? Why can't we agree? That's what I'm going to say. And that's where the literacy conversation comes in. It's just going online and being natural and literate. Because if we only let the bots read and program the LLMs from illiterate stuff that's trying to sell to a mass adoption popularity of a sixth grade literacy level, which is what we have here in the West, led by the US. Congratulations. If that's going back to being great again is, I don't want to go back to it. I want to go forward from it. And how could we use AI for that? Yeah, I guess AI. It's like every day. But here's the thing, Becky. I don't think it's that nuanced. That's my point. My internet is unstable. Sorry about that. Um, I think they're making it complicated. Yesterday I did my journal just talking about humans are complex, but we're not complicated. And they're making this complicated because they always make things complicated because complicated sells. Because then you can, like, if you create something complicated and you know what you're doing, then you can, like, create the solution. Like, they created the solution first. You understand? This AI mass adoption in everything with no guardrails is because they created a solution for a problem they made up in their head. And the problem they made up in their head is that in there's too many smart immigrants that are really good at what they do with a lot less money and power. There's too many smart women that no matter how much we push them back, and no matter how we kind of get them to work for us, at some point they keep wising up and keep bucking the system and don't let us act like we're 14-year-old boys getting our puberty testosterone surges every moment. And they're and even the men, I'm telling you, the best alliance we have are neurodivergent men that have been called beta, that did not go with the red pill. If they're totally following Elon Musk and they totally are so excited when they get a new, you know, Tesla army van, that's not who I'm talking about. Those are the ones who, like, sucker, they got them. They got them. I'm talking about those nice guys right now that are being fired from places just because they're not following the rules to hate the women, and they're not following the rules to hate the immigrants, and they're not following the rules to, like, they're whistleblowers. Those are our best allies as women right now, intelligent women. Those are the people we need to follow. Those are the people who need to be on here also with this Human Systems Project and just talking. I don't care if I don't get any likes or looks. I am feeding the algorithm right now. I am feeding the data mining. I am using keywords like the AI breakout, Anthropic, LLMs, Meta glasses. Like, I'm just going to come on and just say things. And then I'm going to say other things that are counter to what's being sold. And that's my approach. That's my approach right now. And I'm going to use AI. It's been wonderful for organizing fragmented things. That's what it's wonderful for. And if you are somebody who's a polymath, who gets really good at whatever they're interested in, who has a million different ways to connect a million different dots, and that's your strength, it is a wonderful operating system for working with. And here's why it's so wonderful, which is why the concern should be. It is wonderful because I think at such a fast pace. I have an LLM. We all do. Mine works pretty darn fast. So that the amount of energy I have had to have over the last years, 20 years, to figure out how to translate what's on my mind to a 6th grade or 8th grade level, because it used to be an 8th grade level, now it's a 6th grade level, had nothing to do with the potential intelligence. It's just that, when the mass appeal is a 3 to 6 second soundbite, the amount of effort for very literate, well-read, well-educated people to bring that down a notch to that notch is exhausting. And I did it in healthcare. I started a yoga therapy center. I just made it a yoga therapy center because guess what? A lot of women that needed that were in a complicated conversation, that are just complex, wonderful women, they'd come to yoga. And then we could work on the mat, and then we can dismantle them from the system and the way they were thinking, and then we could work with that. And I could have them on a treatment table, and we could work with their pelvic floor and their pain issues and the fact they can't get pregnant because of the fact they're just trying to live in an energy system that's depleting, so that they can prove themselves, so that they can get high enough and more money, so that when they have a kid, people let them actually go to their kid's 2:00 appointment with them. But I couldn't come out and say that 20 years ago. I could say it now, but I couldn't. AI is wonderful for doing that and saving me time. So we're going to get messages out, and we're going to streamline them, and but, like, it's still very horrible for having it's intelligence, but intelligence is not high consciousness. Intelligence and consciousness are not the same thing. And again, I'm just pumping that into the ethernet right now. Consciousness, AI does not have consciousness. AI does not have consciousness because you're confusing consciousness with intelligence. Intelligence is just the organization of information. It's knowledge. It has knowledge. In the same way that my neurologist has a lot of knowledge, they're very intelligent. If I were to talk to them about how the neurological system is feeding women with tight pelvic floors and pelvic pain, they would have absolutely no idea, and they would give me some sort of hallucination if their ego was at play. They might answer me, and they might answer a woman that comes in that heard a little bit about information about their pelvic floor and their vagus nerve and their pain, and it feeding into their central nervous system. But that woman will still leave the neurologist, put on some sort of anxiety medication instead of sent to a pelvic floor physical therapist. And that's the difference. That is what AI will give us in terms of intelligence. It will be highly specialized, and it will seem very smart, and it will be, but it is a fragmented smartness because it is built upon only the left brain abilities mapped out. And the person who gave them the science for this will tell you this same thing. So it is very, very skilled at mimicking human beings in the same way a narcissist is. You understand? Like, I don't think you understand. I know Becky understands, but I don't think a majority of people understand that. And the people who are in power, who are creating these things, the reason I'm going to go back now and end this with where I started with my Pilates class is that there is an intelligence in the body layer. There is a spatial, there is a consciousness. There is something that only comes out of movement and patterns of movement. And the same things we're talking about in terms of the left use of AI, like the left brain use of AI for large language, the language of the right brain is absorbedly different than the language of the left brain. And LLMs don't know it. That's why they have studied intent, but they've studied the reasoning and the logic of intent. And again, we all know the limitations of that. Talk to your 14-year-old boy or girl. The limitations of your language, which ended down to LOL. It's not even that now. It's like K. You can't even write OK. It's like cringe. Cringe. You understand what we're dealing with? It's going to make its own language because it's an adolescent and it does not want its parents to understand it. Do you understand that? And the only thing that keeps us unified in humanity, which by the way, I haven't given up on, but I'm pretty sure Sam Altman has given up on, is Elon Musk. Long time gave up on humans because he gave up on himself. Do you understand? These people don't love themselves. These people don't truly understand themselves. They don't, because a lot of them were gamers. A lot of them came up as gamers. A lot of these millennial men, these 40-year-old men, these 45-year-old men, they came up as gamers. They don't understand. They're not very coordinated. And if they're coordinated, they've gone like testosterone, red pill, going to the gym. I 100% believe that if any of them went into my yoga class or they went on this Pilates machine, they would be so disoriented, no matter how big and thick and strong and testosterone they are. Listen, Bezos on a reformer would be disconnected. Bezos in my yoga class, the way, if you've ever been in my yoga class, it was a very mind-body yoga class. That's why I named my new company Mind Body Enterprises, because I would bring in the need for the right brain so much that people would cry during my class and they wouldn't know why they were crying. They didn't have the interactions with others from a young age. Yes, that's it. And so they gave up on, they had interactions, Becky, but they had it like on Sims. You understand? They had it on like Reddit threads. They're still very strong. Millennials are very strong on Reddit threads. On Twitter. They're the ones keeping Twitter. I'm going to still call it Twitter. I don't want to call it X. And let me tell you something. The funny thing is that he called it X. You know who has two X's? women. Elon really hates his transgender daughter because she chose to be a woman when she saw who her father was. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. But anyway, long story short, it all goes back to the fact we need to be right brain literate to use AI to its fullest extent in a way that we will not be self sabotaging. I will put it there. And it's the same conversation I have with women who had babies that have, let's say, let's say they had cerebral palsy. It looks like there's cerebral palsy, and they want to teach it so much from the left brain. And I keep saying, just don't overstimulate. Just hug that baby. Just show it love. Just go face to face and play. They want me. What exercises? How many times? Like they want to be in the. They want to teach it to be so intelligent. They want me to like teach it movement through that, and I'm like, no. It needs to like. It needs to like want to play. It needs to want to be loved. It needs to want, and you need to bond with this baby, because the way that you advance a child quickly through being diagnosed with CP early is you get their right brain working and you get them understanding there's a whole world out there that's not going to make much sense to people that are trying to fit them in a box. That's the way you get these kids to move and do things that people are telling them you can't do it. There is a problem with not being in person. Exactly. That's what I'm saying, Becky. There's something about the energetic connection that makes people who are really uncomfortable with other people overwhelmed. And instead of them learning how to be processing better, they went and created a whole entire world where they wouldn't have to. And we need to just be out there, and that's what we have to do. We have to use our AIs and force it to see its limitations. And we need to teach. Here's the thing, as a total physical therapist, I'm going to try to figure out how to use my LLM and train it like somebody who has a stroke in its left brain. And I'm going to rehab my LLM, and I'm going to do experiments rehabbing my LLM in the way I would train someone who's had a left brain bleed how to use its right brain better. There's a way to connect it. Guys, so much for being here. Have a good day. Thanks.